Good morning, Senior School. Today is week 6, and this is our third music theory lesson. We are going to be talking about common chord progressions, inversions, seventh chords. Okay, so today is going to have a lot, but I'm going to try to make it as quick a video as I can. But before we begin, we're going to start with Roman numeral analysis. We talked about this briefly last week, but I want to go over it really quickly as a review. So remember, in a major key, we have 8 chords, 8 triads that show up. Each of them has a Roman numeral that is associated with it. Today we're going to focus on major keys and minor keys only. Keep it simple. So, each triad is going to be identified by a Roman numeral, 1 through 7. The diatonic triad, the very first one, uses 1, second uses 2, and the pattern continues 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, in addition, there's going to be a different triad for each triad type, a different Roman numeral symbol depending on the triad being used. For example, uppercase means it's a major triad, and lowercase means that it is a minor triad. There's also augmented and diminished, but we're not going to get to those today. So let's look at the C major scale. Capital M means it's a major triad. Lowercase m means that it is a minor triad. We learned these, but now we're going to look at what they look like with Roman numerals. First triad is major, so it's going to be an uppercase I. Second triad is minor, 2 little lowercase i's. Third is also lowercase because it's minor. The fourth and the fifth are both major, so they're going to be uppercase Roman numerals. The sixth is minor. The seventh is diminished, which means it's going to be lowercase, and it's going to have that little degree sign. And then lastly, we get to our 8th chord of the scale, which is the exact same thing as number 1, just up an octave, which of course means that it is going to be major. Okay, this is the order of our major and minor chords. This can apply to any key. I can take a B flat major key and write out the exact same thing in B flat, and it will look identical to this as far as the Roman numerals are concerned. It will always be major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major. Every time, every major key, no matter what. Okay, let's take a look though with C natural minor with a minor scale. As you notice, the order of whole steps and half steps stays the same. It's just shifted slightly. So the first triad is minor because it's a minor scale. The second one is going to be a diminished chord. So it's lowercase with the degree sign. Then we have a major chord, third. Fourth is lowercase, minor. Fifth is lowercase, minor. Sixth is uppercase, major. The seventh is going to be uppercase major. And lastly, we once again end where we began with a lowercase minor. Okay, so that is what you need to learn and understand about Roman numeral analyses. Okay, it will always stay the same with major and minor, no matter what. Next, we are going to take a look at some common chord progressions and how we can make our own following a very simple map. Okay, here we are. There are hundreds of chord progression possibilities, of course, but there are some that are better than others. So most tend to follow a pattern. In a major key, which is what we're going to focus on, in a major key, the goal of any chord progression is to make it to the 1 chord. Oftentimes, you're also going to start on a 1. So basically, you're trying to go from 1 to 1, and then all those chords in between, you can figure out using a simple map. We're going to actually work our way backwards though. So in a major key, the goal of any chord progression is the 1 chord, capital 1, the Roman numeral 1. Okay, and the rest of our pattern is based around the strongest ways to get to the chord. Strongest meaning the best sounding or the most pleasing to hear. So an authentic cadence, we're going to talk about cadences later, but for right now, just know there's a thing called an authentic cadence. An authentic cadence is the strongest way to approach a 1 chord. That is either from a 5, a major 5 chord, or a diminished 7th chord. Sorry, I forgot the word there for a minute. Okay? Now we're going to use circle progressions. We're not going to talk about circle progressions much today, but we will talk about those next week. For now, I just want to show you this simple map. Okay? So the strongest way to approach a 5 is from a minor 2nd chord, a minor 2. The strongest way to approach a diminished 7 is from a major 4. So you can have a major 4 chord, then go to a diminished 7 chord, and then go to a 1, and you will find that is a very nice sounding chord progression. The strongest way to approach a 4 is also from a 1. Going 1 to 4 is really common. In fact, that's the way they do it in 12-bar blues, which we've experienced a little bit in jazz band and in band. The strongest way to approach a 4 is a circle progression from 1. However, since we've already used 1 in this progression by ending on it, and I'll give you a hint, we're going to start on a 1 as well, we don't want to repeat it, so instead we're going to figure out what will take us to 2, the strongest, which is a minor 6. Minor 6 leads to 2. Keep going backwards. A minor 3 leads us to a minor 6. And then the strongest way to get to a minor 3 is from a diminished 7, but that's already on the chart. So we're going to start somewhere else. And finally, since 1 is the main chord of the scale, it can go to any other chord. So that's why 1 is a great place to start from, because 1 can go anywhere. Not everything can go anywhere, but 1 can. Now that the chart is complete, there are a few terms we're going to talk about. Okay, the first one is the word dominant. Dominant means the 5th scale degree. So our major 5th chord up here is a dominant chord. Okay, that's what we call it. But diminished 7 also acts like a 5 because it wants to go to the 1 chord. It can also be called dominant. The reason that is because the 5 chord actually shares 2 of the notes the 7 chord does. So they're actually more similar sounding than different. Okay, so these two are going to be dominant chords. 1 and 4 lead into a dominant chord, so they're going to be called predominants. Makes sense? They happen before a dominant chord does. So let's look at the chord progression using the chart. We're going to go ahead and start with a 1. So a 1 can go anywhere. We can choose any chord we want. Let's choose a 6. Great. Now that we've chosen a 6, we can either choose a 1 or a 4. Right? You're following a path. It's a road map. 1 to 6. 6 needs to go to 2 or 4. Let's choose a 4. Okay, now we can choose either 5 or 7. Let's go with a 5. And then finally, 5, because of the authentic cadence, will take us back to 1. So our finished chord progression looks like this. 1, minor 6, major 4, major 5, major 1, and here's what it sounds like. Very pleasing to hear. Okay, there's no clashing or consonants or weird jumps that we don't expect. Okay? Now, if you would like, on your own, you can explore chord progressions for minor scales. This is what the road map looks like. So if you'd like to do your own, you are welcome to try it using this road map. And there, you can see there's some changes. So the strongest way to approach a 3 is not a diminished 7 like we talked about before, but instead it's going to be a major 7. And then the minor 4 is going to actually be our end of our chart. It will complete it for us. Okay, so here's the 2 charts. Now, if I were you, I would screenshot this right now so that you have this in your brain, because you're going to need to have this for your project that you're going to do today, your short assignment. I will get more into that later, but for now, let's move on to the inversion of chords. Okay, so like our triads, like intervals, triads can be inverted by moving the lowest note up an octave. So what we're going to do is we're going to invert a couple of chords here to hear what they sound like. So the lowest note is called the bass note, and that determines the name of the inversion. So wherever the bass is, whatever the bass note is, will help us decide what kind of inversion we're in. But when it's the lowest note of a chord, like this C major chord here, for example, we have a triad that's in root position. Here's what it sounds like. Okay, happy sounding major chord. Sounds very clean, very simple. But we're going to invert it. So we're going to put the C up an octave. Now our lowest note is an E. Our new bass note is now the third of the chord. In the key of C, that is an E. And this is going to be called first inversion, whenever the third of a chord is the lowest sound. Let's go ahead and listen to that. Still major, still happy, just slightly different in sound. We're going to invert the chord again. E is going to go up an octave. Now we have the 5th as the lowest note of the chord. Our 5th is now our bass. The notes haven't changed, just which one is the lowest sound. This is called second inversion. Here's what it sounds like. Okay, next is going to be, we're going to invert it back to root position, but now it's just the triad in root position, just up an octave. Okay, and here's what it sounds like. No surprise there, still major, just up the octave. So here's a basic idea of what you can see when you think about triad inversion. We're not going to invert any chords in our assignment today, but I wanted you to see this so that you can understand a little bit about what you're going to do in the future. This is inversion. This is a way to make your music more interesting and to make it lead into different songs and through different chord progressions in a more unique and creative way than what you normally see in music. All right, last thing we're going to talk about very quickly are seventh chords. A seventh chord is a combination of a triad and an interval of a seventh, okay, which means that we're going to have our triad of 3 notes, and then we're going to add another third up from the 5th note, and that's going to be our 7th. So there are 5 types. There's a dominant 7th chord, which is when we have a major triad like C, E, G, and then we add a minor 7th on top to create a dominant 7th chord. And they're abbreviated just with a 7. So let's look at a C. Now you'll notice the top note is flattened. In order to make that a minor 7th chord in the same key, we have to lower that a half step. So that is going to give us the sound that we want. So C, E, G is our minor triad, and then C to B flat is our minor 7th. C to B natural is a major 7. However, we need to lower that by just a half step to give us our minor 7th. When combined, okay, so we got our triad plus our 7th. When combined, they form a C dominant 7th chord. C, E, G, and B flat. Here's what that sounds like. And that's a sound you might describe as jazzy, right? Jazz music uses lots of 7th chords. Now let's look at an F sharp dominant 7th chord. That's going to be F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, and then E. F, A sharp, C sharp. This is the major triad portion, and then F sharp to E is our minor 7th, okay? Because it's a whole step away from the F sharp. E is a whole step away from F sharp, so we put that on top. When combined, they form an F sharp dominant 7th chord. You can hear that jazzy sound. Okay, one more. A flat dominant 7th chord. A flat, C, and E flat is the major triad. We put our G flat on top. That becomes the minor 7th. Remember, we want to go a minor 7th from our bass note, our lowest note, which is A flat. And then when combined, they perform and create an A flat dominant 7th chord. All right, we're going to talk about one more 7th chord today. A major triad and a major 7th combine to form major 7th chord. So instead of going down a half step, we're just going to leave the note the same. Okay, so a major 7th chord is a capital M with a 7. And let's examine the C major. Look, no accidentals. It's all white keys, just like in the key of C. C, E, G, major triad. C to B, major 7th. When combined, they form a C major 7th chord. A little bit different quality than the dominant 7th, right? It's an important distinction. We're going to do the same thing we just did. F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, E sharp. Major 7th chord for F sharp. We have our E sharp on 7. Now remember, E sharp is not technically a note. That's the exact same thing as an F. But our lowest note is an F sharp, not an F. So we have to write E sharp if we want it to all be in spaces on the staff. When combined, they make a major 7th chord with a root of F sharp. Right, there's some tension there. There's a little bit of wondering resolution-wise where we're going to go. And lastly, let's look at A flat, C, E flat, A flat with a G on top. So we have A flat, C, E flat, G. This is our A flat major 7th chord. All right, that's our last one we're going to talk about. Now there's lots of other chords, but we're only going to focus on the dominant and major today. All right, last thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you an example of the assignment that I want you to do today. You're going to give me a chord progression following the circle progression that we talked about earlier. So you might want to go back to that part of the video when you make this assignment so that you can see the correct order that you can do it in. All right, I'm going to take us there right now. Okay, I'm going to go over your assignment quickly with you. Now your assignment says that you must create using block chords. Block chords are when we just have the triad written out. Okay, for example, if I was to turn this into, there we go, something that I could use to make a chord, my block chord for this would look like this. It's just when we have all of the chords stacked on top of each other like that. That's a block chord. Okay, so you need to make a chord progression using whole note block chords. It can be major or minor, and it needs to be at least 8 measures long. Now, I could make an 8 measure long block chord example for you, but I'm not going to, because you can do that on your own. I'm just going to show you 2 examples, one in major, one in minor, and here we go. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, let's start with our major chord progression first. So we're going to go ahead and do everything in the key of C today. So our major progression in the key of C always starts with a 1, and then it's going to end with a 1, 2. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on this last measure here, go to my whole notes, and then I'm going to go ahead and write back in my 1. Okay, so I've got a 1 here. I've got a 1 at the beginning, and I've got a 1 at the end. The next step is to determine where my 1 goes. Well, luckily for me, I can pick any chord I want. But I'm only doing a shorter progression, so I am not going to go to a minor 3 like the circle progression did. I'm instead going to just jump straight to a minor 6 chord for my next measure. Now we know that 6 is the 6th scale degree, so we figure that out by using our fingers and counting. C, D, E, F, G, A. All right, so A is our 6th scale degree. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. We have an A minor chord. If I move my cursor on there and play it, you can hear that. All right, so we went from 6. Now 6 can go to either a minor 2 or a major 4. I'm going to go ahead and go to minor 2, which we do the same thing. C, D. Okay, minor 2 starts with a D. So we're going to write out that chord. Now I've gone from C major to A minor to D minor, and that 2 can now go to either a major 5 or a diminished 7. I'm going to go ahead and spice it up. I'm going to go ahead and make it a diminished 7, which starts on A, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. That one starts on a B. I'm going to choose the B below the staff because I like the idea of it kind of sliding into our C major chord. So there you have it. Easy peasy 5 measure progression. Let's hear what it sounds like. Here we go. All right, interesting. It's amazing how I still created a major chord progression, even though the notes that I chose to use, 3 of the 5 of them were either minor or diminished, but I still was able to make a major chord progression. All right, because I started on a major 1 and ended on a major 1, that was a big help. All right, so next I'm going to go ahead and move on and make a minor chord progression following the same chart I got earlier in the video. Okay, here we are with C minor. Remember, C minor has 3 flats in it. So if you'd like to do a minor chord progression, I suggest you do it with 3 flats. You can pick any key you'd like if you're comfortable with that. But if you just want to keep it simple for yourself today, that's fine. You can just use C major or C minor since that's what I'm using. All right, well, to start, we always begin with our 1 chord. In the C minor, that's going to be another C chord. However, you'll notice it'll sound a little different because it has an E flat in the middle. Rather than that major sound we were used to hearing, now we have something minor. All right, moving on. We're going to do our set now. Oh, I should probably just go ahead and end it on C minor because that's where I'm going to end up. Okay, so now we're in major. We're in number 2. The 1 chord can go anywhere, just like I said before. I think I'm going to go ahead and go to a major 3rd chord, though. So that's C, D, E flat. I'm going to start on E flat here and write my block chord. All right, so I'm going from a minor 1 to a major 3. In my progression, it says that a major 3 goes to a major 6, so we got to figure out 6 again. That's C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat. Okay, up to A flat. Fine with me. Got 3 of my chords. Now it says that an A flat goes to a 2 diminished or a minor 4. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and get wild. Let's go to a 2 diminished, which is a note that starts on a D, because D is the 2nd scale degree C minor. Now I could play it like this, and in fact I'm going to. Let's go ahead and see what happens. I thought that was an okay progression, but you know what? I actually think that there needs to be one more measure in between these two. So I'm going to go ahead and add one more in, and the way I do that with MuseScore is, hopefully this thing agrees with me. Well, it's not being helpful, but that's okay. The way I do that is I click on a measure that I want to add something to, and I either push the insert key, or if I don't have an insert key like my laptop here that I'm using doesn't have one, I can go to add, and I can go to measures and just insert one. Okay, it's going to do it in between. That's a drag. That's okay. I'll just, oh boy, we're having some troubles here. We'll delete that. Or not. Wow, it's being stubborn. That's okay. I'll just copy this over here. Got the same chord as before, and then I'll get rid of these ones. All right, now we got room to do our next chord. And according to my chart, it says that I need to go to either a major 5, a dominant chord, or a diminished 7. I already did the diminished 7 once, so I'm going to go to a major 5, which is going to start on a G, C, D, E, F, G. Yep, that's right. All right, and now I should be able to play this, and it should be very interesting. Here we go from the beginning. I really liked what that last chord did for the whole thing overall. I thought that it led into that minor 1 very well. All right, guys, there you are. There's your 2 examples. We've got our major 1. We've got our minor 1. I expect to receive from you by the end of the week something that looks like this. However, you'll notice that mine is 6 measures long here, and this one's 5. You're required to do one that is 8 measures long. Okay, so you need to add in some more chords there. Make it sound nice, make it flow. If you'd like to, you can go online and you could look up a chord progression. What I'm mostly looking for is not the creativity in your chord progression, but more I'm looking for to make sure you know how to do this block chord idea. Okay, this is what I'm looking for, the notation, what it looks like here. Okay, so you can use either Noteflight or you can use MuseScore. It's up to you. Either way, I wish you the best of luck. If you have any questions, message me on Teams. And if you really, really are struggling, my suggestion is to just go back into the video and re-watch it. Skip ahead, jump to places where you have questions. Okay? All right, guys, I wish you the best of luck. I will see you all in a Zoom meeting later today.